Sawadee Cap viewers. Today's story comes from subscriber Big Steve, joining us from England, who shares a deeply personal and cautionary tale about the red flags of dating in Thailand. Steve's story begins in a quiet Pattaya karaoke bar where he meets Tak, a woman who seems different from the rest. Nursing the wounds of a messy divorce, he falls for Tak's soft-spoken nature and a heartbreaking story about her daughter living far away in Isaan. As his emotional commitment grows, so does his financial support for this child he has never met. Steve, hoping to find a new family, becomes willfully blind to the red flags until he makes a surprise trip to the village, only to find the truth behind the story is a devastating lie. This is a powerful, honest look at the emotional cost of naivety. I met Tak in a small, quiet karaoke bar on the outskirts of Pattaya. It wasn't the kind of place you'd find 100 girls vying for attention. It was a local spot, a place where people actually sang and drank with friends. I'd been living in Thailand for a year, nursing the wounds of a messy divorce back home, and I was convinced I was done with the games. My heart was a bruised and cynical thing. I told myself I was just here for a quiet life, to heal, to be a ghost in paradise. But there was Tak singing a Thai pop song, her voice a little shaky, her eyes full of a sweet sadness. She was different, quieter, less polished, her beauty a soft glow instead of a neon glare. She wasn't just a face in the crowd. She felt like a genuine connection waiting to be made. And like a fool, I convinced myself this meant she was real. I saw not a bar girl, but a fragile soul, and in that, I saw a reflection of myself. The first red flag wasn't a demand, but a heartbreaking confession. After we had been dating for a few weeks, she confided in me about her daughter. "My daughter lives with my mother in Isaan," she said, her eyes welling up with tears that seemed so genuine, so full of pain. "I miss her every day, but I'm here to send money so she can have a better life." That was the hook. It was the moment she stopped being a lonely woman and became a desperate mother. I wasn't just a potential boyfriend. I was a father figure, a savior for a mother and her child. This wasn't a story about a sick parent or a struggling rice farmer. It was about a child's future, and that was a promise I couldn't resist. It was the perfect story, perfectly delivered to a man who, after his own life fell apart, was searching for a family to fix. I felt my cynical armor begin to crack. I didn't see a bar girl, I saw a damsel in distress, and I, a self-proclaimed white knight, was ready to ride to her rescue. My commitment to Tak wasn't just about love. It became about a family I desperately wanted. My own family life had crumbled, leaving me with a hollow ache and a crushing sense of failure. Here, in a country a world away, was a chance to rebuild, to be the father and provider I had failed to be before. I started sending money home for my daughter, as Tak would call her. And the simple act wasn't a burden. It was a profound investment in a beautiful dream. I'd sit at my computer, a quiet joy in my chest, as I paid for the girl's school fees, her new clothes, and sent extra for her birthday. Tak would send me pictures of the little girl smiling, and my heart would swell with a pride and purpose I hadn't felt in years. Every transfer of money felt like a step toward a better life for all of us, a foundation being laid brick by brick. I genuinely believed I was giving this little girl a future she wouldn't have otherwise had. And in doing so, I was giving myself a reason to believe in my own future too. The red flags, however, continued to pop up, but I rationalized every single one. Tak's phone was a fortress of secrecy, and she never let me use it. I'd watch her text, her thumbs flying across the screen, a private smile on her face, but if I ever reached for it, she'd pull it away with a quickness that was both startling and dismissive. When I'd offer to go with her on a trip to visit her family and daughter, she'd always have an excuse. The roads were bad, her mother was busy, it wasn't the right time. The excuses were always vague, but they were plausible enough for me to believe. I assumed it was a cultural thing. Maybe she was embarrassed about her family's humble village life. My mind, so desperate for this to be real, became a lawyer for my heart, arguing away every piece of evidence. I told myself that my love and trust were enough, that her love for me was as real as my love for her. I was so committed to my fairy tale that I was willfully blind to the obvious. I chose to see only the beautiful dream I had constructed, refusing to believe there was a nightmare lurking just beneath the surface. The illusion shattered when I decided to make my own journey. After a year of supporting a child I had never met, I felt it was time. I wanted to surprise them, to finally meet the family I was providing for. It was a grand romantic gesture in my mind, a culmination of all my hope and love. On the long bus ride to her village in Isaan, clutching a picture of the little girl and a bag of gifts, I spent the hours daydreaming about the moment I would finally see their faces and be welcomed into the family. I arrived with a heart full of hope, but when I found her mother, she looked at me with a bewildered expression. She recognized Tak's name and the pictures of the little girl I showed her, but her reaction was one of confusion, not welcome. She eventually explained, via Google Translate, that the woman was Tak's much younger sister, not her daughter. The truth hit me with a physical force. The child I had been a father to, the one who gave me purpose, didn't exist. The money I had been sending was a collective contribution to the family, a general fund, but the story of the daughter was a complete fabrication. In that moment, my beautiful dream had dissolved into thin air, leaving me standing in the hot, dusty village, a complete stranger with a bag of gifts for a ghost. I called Tak from her mother's house, a small, quiet space that smelled of wood smoke and cooking rice. On the other end of the line, the noise of her bar was deafening. The bass of the music, the shouts, the practiced laughter. It was a jarring reminder of the life she was still living, while I stood in the wreckage of the one I thought we were building. My voice was tight with a mix of confusion and pain as I explained where I was and what I had learned. "What are you talking about?" she said, her voice completely devoid of emotion, as if I were a stranger on the street asking for directions. I explained what her mother had told me, and her initial shock quickly turned into a cold, hard silence. The silence lasted for a moment, and then the final brutal truth came. "You gave me money because you wanted to," she said, her voice flat and transactional. "My sister is my responsibility, and you were helping. What is the difference?" The difference was the lie. The difference was the child I believed I was a father to. The difference was my foolish heart. I didn't say another word. I simply hung up the phone. The heartbreak was devastating, but the feeling of being a fool was even worse. I had come to Thailand to escape the emotional games, to find something real. And I had been a pawn in a game I didn't even know I was playing. I was so convinced of my own love story that I'd completely ignored the obvious. The cold, hard truth was that I'd poured my heart and my money into a ghost, a fantasy that existed only in my mind. The 250,000 Thai baht wasn't just a number. It was a symbol of my naivety, a tangible price paid for a dream that was never real. It was a brutal lesson, a high price to pay for love and trusting the wrong person. I took the first bus back to Pattaya, the gifts for my daughter still in my bag, feeling the weight of them like a physical burden, a constant reminder of my foolishness. The memories of Tak and the dreams we shared still haunt me, but I have to believe that the pain of the past will one day be a reminder of a hard-won wisdom, a wisdom that cost me both my innocence and a significant chunk of my life savings. Steve's story is a heartbreaking reminder that sometimes the most painful red flags are the ones we choose to ignore. His journey from hopeful romantic to a man betrayed by a well-crafted lie is a testament to the high price of emotional naivety. He didn't just lose money. He lost the dream of the family he desperately wanted to build. His story shows how easily a simple promise can become a powerful tool for deception, especially when it's wrapped in a story you want so badly to believe. What did you find most shocking about Steve's story? Have you ever experienced a similar situation that completely changed your perspective on trust? Share your thoughts and stories respectfully in the comments below. If Steve's honest account resonated with you, please give this video a like. And for more unfiltered, real-life expat stories, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching.